Implementing healthy boundaries is probably one of the most difficult things you will ever actually implement in your life. The reason why is because if you haven't been taught to implement healthy boundaries and you have been raised to abandon yourself, you've been raised to submit to powers that be in your life whilst betraying yourself and your authenticity, what ends up happening is that the neurons in your brain and your nervous system have officially now structured themselves around this narrative and this person that you have created. When you start realizing and you're having your awakening that, hold on, I need to actually implement these boundaries, feeling sorry for people or harming myself in a way of pleasing somebody else is not being righteous, is self-abandonment. And when you start implementing that kind of behavior, your view on what love is very skewed, because now you associate love with you abandoning yourself in whichever way that may be to please the other person. But there's a big difference between compromising and abandoning yourself. And that is the key to try and understand here, because there will be inevitable compromises in our life. There'll be times when we have to do things that make ourselves uncomfortable, and we should give ourselves and other people grace and accept that life is a difficult journey. Like, this isn't somewhere we come to just chill and then we move on. So there will be difficulty. But when it comes to trauma, abuse, oppression, cultural manipulation, religious weaponizing, implementing those boundaries when your whole entire community is singing from the same hymn sheet in regards to what the structure should be and acceptable behavior around you, you will end up being the black sheep. And that term is used in such a negative way. But as somebody who has very much accepted that label from others, I don't label myself as that, but I also don't take it personally, because now I've done this journey and I realize and I listen to people around me. Oh my God, I could never let this happen. And you can hear the insecurity, that how trapped they are in the cycles of their own lives. I'm free from that. So when they say, oh, this black sheep, what they're trying to say is that you are going to be a liberated, and you are demonstrating you're a liberated individual with high self-esteem. And all we can do is wish to have that, because we don't have the courage to go and pursue it. And black sheeps usually make a decision at some point in their life. Carry on with the status quo and constantly feel a conflict inside me because of the lack of truth and justice that I'm living around. Or I pick the pain of being shunned by the people who are implementing incorrect things into my life. Incorrect boundaries, teaching me basically to not have any boundaries, not to have any self-respect. And this is especially important for girls, because we're already predisposed to be giving. We have a natural tendency to serve people we love. When you include the psychological element of that, of abandoning yourself, you've officially become a slave. And there's a big difference to willingly submitting to a situation or being coerced to submit in a situation so you are accepted by wider society. So when you're standing up on your own and you feel really alone and scared and vulnerable, just know that you've been picked specifically for this journey. Nothing happens by accident. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do accidents. So your voice, the way that you are, the way that you think, the things that you believe, the justices you wish to stand up for, the boundaries that you are not willing to cross, are all a part and parcel of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to put in your package. Your personality is uniquely tailored by Him. Life then adds narrative to that personality, and then that makes our personal reality. And if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then Joe Dispenza is the direction you want to go down, to try and understand how to change that narrative in your mind, so your personality that creates your personal reality around you is not being skewed by you. We can control that. We have a lot more control than we have ever been told. And if you come from a certain cultural background, it's a motivation of that culture to remove that individuality and authenticity from you from the start. So if you have that awoke, that feeling inside of you that something isn't wrong, that urgency, that means you've been chosen. That means that there's a great responsibility on your shoulders of some shape, form, or fashion. And may it be your capacity just to help the 2 people in your direct circle, or on a wider platform, or maybe even an international platform. You strive and go forth. Stay grounded, stay humble, stay God-fearing. Don't ignore those things. Ensure that you don't go down the route of unnecessary rebellion, and you're taking the route of justice and honor. And when you take that route, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always have your back. He will always have your back. He will make sure that you come out on top. And I've experienced that firsthand. So stand up for what's right and don't be afraid to be the black sheep.